Hey, welcome back to Sunday School. It's good to be back with all of you for another Sunday School. Today we want to celebrate Jolene's birthday. So would you join with me in singing Happy Birthday to Jolene? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jolene. Happy birthday to you. Jolene, we hope you had a wonderful birthday and know that we love you. Well, today we finish our series, Ordinary People Who Changed the World, with our last book, I Am Sacagawea. Sacagawea was a Lemhi Shoshone woman who helped Lewis and Clark on their journey from North Dakota to the Pacific Ocean. She was just 16 years old. Sacagawea had been taken captive when she was 12 years old from the Hidatsa tribe. It was there that she was given the name Sacagawea, which means bird woman. When she was just 14, she was sold into marriage to a French Quebec trapper named Jean-Baptiste Chepbonu. She made the entire journey with Lewis and Clark with her infant son. And along the way, she helped to make contacts and relationships with other Native American tribes. Sacagawea once said, "Amazing things you find when you bother to search for them." She also said, "Everything I do is for my people." Sacagawea faced incredible hardship and challenge and adversity, and yet had a spirit of perseverance and determination. With that, let's head on in to our story, I Am Sacagawea, by Brad Metzler and illustrated by Christopher Eliopoulos. I am Sacagawea. What do people expect of you? Your family, your teachers, your friends? Do they expect you to be a good person, to do well in school, to keep your room clean? People had different expectations of me. In fact, they didn't expect much at all. Why? It was a different time in America. Back then, they didn't think much of people who looked like me. Someone who was a girl, someone who was young, someone who was Native American. When winter came, the women of our village would pack up our lodges, our homes made of brush we lived in during certain times of year. In spring and summer, the whole village would move to an area where there was better fishing. In the fall or winter, we moved to different areas for different foods. When I was around 12 years old, our Shoshone tribe was attacked by another tribe. They captured me and took me back to their village. From there, I was given to a French-Canadian man and became his wife. That's when I was given the name you know me by, Sacagawea. That's how life was back then. War captives were treated like property, something that could be given away. But lucky for me, my life was about to change. At the time I was pregnant. When the baby came, it would be really hard to travel. But I didn't have a choice. That's how things were back then. Besides, Lewis and Clark had a mission. A mission from President Thomas Jefferson to explore the Louisiana Territory. But the only way to make it happen was with a translator who could help speak to the Native Americans who were already living there. By the time we were ready to leave, my son was born. Clark gave him the nickname Pump, after a Roman general. It was meant as a joke, like calling a child commander. Was it dangerous to take a newborn baby into the wilderness? Of course it was. But we didn't have a choice. I wasn't even considered an equal part of the team. That's how things were back then. In April 1805, the Corps of Discovery set out from my village to explore this great uncharted land. Lewis and Clark thought it'd be a one-year trip. They had no idea what they were getting into. Today, people say I was a guide, but my real job was an interpreter. Soon enough, though, Lewis and Clark realized I had many other skills. My people lived on this land. I knew its secrets. With a sharp stick, I'd find wild artichokes that mice had buried in the ground. It wasn't just food, though. This was my land. My people lived here for centuries. I understood its passageways. In their journals, Lewis and Clark spelled my name 8 different ways. Sacagawea, 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 and Sacagawea. Sometimes they called me Snake Woman or Bird Woman, but over time they learned exactly who I was. One day, during a sudden storm, my husband lost control of our boat. The vessel nearly flipped. The men panicked and fought. In the middle of this pioneering journey, our supplies, which could not be replaced and were needed for our survival, were about to be lost. Only one person stayed calm. Carefully balancing myself with my infant son strapped to my back in a boat that was about to flip, I was the one who gathered all our supplies. That's right, it was I, a young girl surrounded by soldiers and frontiersmen, who saved us all. I didn't wait for someone else to come to the rescue. I came to the rescue. And all the while, I also did my job as an interpreter, helping Lewis and Clark speak to other tribes. In Shoshone, we say, "You are not human until you learn your language." These are some of the real words from my tribe. The Shoshone word for tree is shobi. The word for corn is hanibi. The word for water is ba. The word for horse is bungu. There are no words for hello or goodbye. We don't want to say goodbye forever, so we say something that is closer to "I will see you later." For our expedition, the word bungu was one of the most important of all. If we wanted to cross the Rocky Mountains, we needed horses. Who had them? The Shoshone, my tribe. I led the way. I had no idea what to expect that day. It had been years since I was taken from my tribe. Our expedition had never seen a Shoshone war party. A battle could have started. But instead of fighting, both sides began to talk. Sometimes, even without words, you can communicate peace. Soon after they invited us to meet their chief, that's when I saw my brother. It was wonderful to see my people again. We traded with them, giving them supplies and even a medallion from Thomas Jefferson. In return, they gave us horses, helping us prepare for our journey through the mountains. Eventually, though, it was time to leave. To this day, no one knows the answers. Some say it was because we still had more to explore. Some say it was because I felt like I was part of the team. Some say I was inspired by the adventure. One thing was certain. The mission wasn't done. So what would you do? The trip was never easy. We faced grizzly bears. We were hit by a hail and flash floods. We ate candles to keep from starving. I got extremely ill. The winter, our corps of discovery had to decide where to build our camp. Usually that decision was made by the men in charge, but for once, the final decision rested with Lewis and Clark. But on that day, my vote was cast, like everyone else on the team. Did our expedition ever reach the Pacific? Yes, it did. Part of our group hiked to the water earlier than the rest and sent back word. I wanted to see the ocean, which I'd never seen before. Eventually, I did. In the end, our corps of discovery traveled over 2,000 miles. It took a year and a half by boat, horse, and foot. I was the only girl, the only teenager, the only one with a baby, and the only Native American. In my life, people underestimated me. Since I was a girl, they expected me to be weak. Since I was young, they expected me to be inexperienced. And since I was Native American, they expected me to treat me unfairly. That's how things were back then. But that's not how they should ever be. Native American people define themselves by their stories. You know my story now, and it's time for you to write your story. Don't let someone else limit you. As Chief Meninock of the Yakima tribe says, we can only be what we give ourselves power to be. Without Sacagawea's bravery and knowledge, the Lewis and Clark expedition might not have ever been completed. Thanks to her, they were able to create maps, engage other Native American cultures, and find a route to the Pacific. Do you know what it means to navigate something? It means finding your way. Wherever you go in life, whatever mountains you climb and challenges you face, find your own way. Make your own path. Shatter expectations. That's what I've always done. I am a girl. I am a teenager. I am a mother. I am Native American. And I am powerful. I am Sacagawea. And I will blaze my own trail. Well, thanks for joining us for Sunday School. We hope you enjoyed the story of Sacagawea. Sacagawea faced incredible challenges and hardship along her journey. But she kept her power and challenges us to blaze trails for ourselves and each other. Well, with that, we'll see you next time.